So in chapter 354 of My Hero Academia, All For One said some really crazy stuff when Jiro and Tokoyami pulled up to aid Endeavor and Hawks in their fight against him, where he says, "In the old comic book I used to read, there were jobber characters who only existed so the Demon Lord could show what he was made of." And it really got me thinking which one of our heroes will actually lose their lives in this all-out war arc. I know it's crazy to think about, but it's totally possible that our heroes, especially those in classes 1A and 1B, would not make it past this arc to the end of the series. So in today's video, we are going to be making our predictions on which of these jobber characters, as said by All For One, both heroes and villains, that we think will not make it by the end of the all-out war arc. Of course, let me know your predictions in the comment section below, because I'm sure you all have your own predictions as well, and I want to see how different or similar they are to mine. Now, my list will be in 3 sections, the first being who I think will 100% be dying, the second being characters that have a 50-50 chance of dying, and the third being characters I could see dying for the sake of shock value to just add up the body count. So to start off my list of potential characters' deaths, I'm going to begin with the characters who I think are definitely going to die 100%. And to be honest, I only have one character in mind, and that's All For One. This menace has been alive for so long, making the lives of our favorite characters miserable, and I honestly think that by the end of this arc, he will most likely definitely be dying and not being sent to a super prison like Tartarus again. Obviously, he isn't going to go down without a fight. The dude is already going crazy as of this video, so I'm pretty sure he will be taking some heroes with him, but I just can't see him making it past this arc unless he had made a clone of himself as a backup that is just being kept in a super secret facility that no one knows about, but I doubt that will actually happen. The next section of predictions on the list are the 50-50s, and to start off the section, we have to talk about the GOAT, All Might. As we know, Sir Night-Eye 7 years ago had looked into All Might's future and saw that he was going to be facing off against a villain and die an unspeakably gruesome death in 6 to 7 years. And well, it's been 7 years already, and we are in the all-out war arc, so there's a good chance that Shigaraki will be the one to finish off All Might. The reason why I said Shigaraki to begin with is because he is the candidate that is most likely the one to do the deed, since he was the one who was the most set out on killing All Might since the beginning of the series. Plus, at the time of Night-Eye's foresight, Sir Night-Eye only said it would be a villain and not All For One. And at the time, neither of them knew who Shigaraki was, so this villain who is said to kill All Might has to be Shigaraki. But the only reason why I put All Might in the 50-50 category is that despite the fact that Night-Eye's foresights have basically a 100% chance of happening, Deku was still able to change his own fate when it was predicted that he was going to die in his fight against Overhaul. After Deku being able to change his own fate like that, it's become really uncertain whether or not All Might will also be able to change his own fate too and live past on that 7th year. Next up is Deku. Now, a lot of you are probably like, why the hell is Deku even considered as a maybe, especially in the 50-50 section of the video when he is the protagonist of the series, and we all know shonen protagonists don't be dying like that. But just let me explain. So even though there is a 99.99% chance that this won't happen, I do have a little mini theory on why he could potentially die, which this theory is the reason why I put him in the 50-50 section of the list. And that is, what if Deku, in all of his narrations since the beginning of the series, is actually a vestige talking to the next successor of One For All? Again, that's just a theory, but I think it would be a crazy plot twist rather than him telling his story to the next generation of heroes, which that isn't bad either, but just imagine how crazy it would be if it was revealed that he was a vestige narrating the whole time. After Deku is the parallel to Deku, Shigaraki. To me, I feel like this could definitely happen since Shigaraki seems like nothing will stop him from reaching his goal of killing All Might and fully destroying society, basically destroying everything he hates, where then him and the League can live how they want without being judged for who they are, with the added bonus of being the next ruler of the Underworld. underworld. But it's looking like Deku is really set on trying to help save Shigaraki from All For One and his influence, as well as to try and change him, which looks to be very possible, as we've seen a young Tenko Shimura deep inside Shigaraki crying and looking like he needed to be saved, that Deku saw within him and really wants to try and save, as well as hopefully try and avoid killing Shigaraki altogether if he can. Next up, we have a fiery combo in Endeavor, the #1 hero, and Dabi. This I feel would be a long time coming, since it would be fitting for Endeavor and Dabi, being father and son and all, to die together after having some sort of last heart-to-heart together by the end of the arc. Plus, there are so many red flags that these two are just going to bite the dust, but what keeps these two in the 50-50 section of the list is the fact that Shoto is really set on stopping and saving his brother Dabi in order to get to know him better. And on top of that, Dabi just refuses to die no matter how much damage he puts his body through. As for Endeavor, I honestly just want him to survive, because I think it would be really cool to see him become a teacher at UA, like how Horikoshi originally intended for him to be. I don't know, I just really want the Todoroki family to have a happy ending for once. And the final character in the 50-50 section is Hawks. Hawks is a very special case, since he seems like he is willing to do whatever it takes in order to make sure that his dream of making the world a place where heroes have time to kill comes true, even if it costs him his life, which is kind of really sad when you think about it, because Hawks is willing to sacrifice his life in order to keep Endeavor alive to stop All For One, meaning that he wouldn't even be able to see his goal come into fruition, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, because this is something that he has been wanting to see for a long time. And the only reason why I could see him living past this arc is because of the help him and Endeavor are going to be receiving by Tokoyami and Jiro, and most likely and possibly other heroes joining their fight later on. Finally, we enter into the shock value deaths of the list, the first being Jiro. Now, the reason Jiro is on here is because she was talking way too crazy to All For One in chapter 354. I love the confidence, but girl, this is the same guy that All Might beat twice and still lived to tell the tale, and is currently giving the two top pro heroes in Japan the sauce. I wouldn't be talking crazy to him like that just because by association with Deku and One For All, homie is going to target you just to spite Deku. Next is Izawa, Monoma, and Manuel, a 3-for-1 special. These three are currently in the Shigaraki war zone, suppressing Shigaraki's quirk from the outside, and I know a lot of us probably have PTSD from what happened to Izawa in the Paranormal Liberation War, with Shigaraki taking Izawa out of the playing field, so I wouldn't be surprised if Shigaraki manages to break out of his quote-unquote tomb and finishing the job on Izawa, as well as ending Monoma and Manuel, just to be on the safe side in case Monoma still has some time remaining with Aizawa's eraser quirk afterwards. Plus, there are some other people around the area where Izawa and of course the rest are at, which means that Mandalay, Yaomomo, and Kaminari could be casualties as well. After those three probably comes the most controversial one on the list, which is Mineta, and I'm not joking when I say this. This would be just for the sake of more bodies being added onto the count, but depending on where you lean with Mineta, him no longer being alive could be a good or bad thing. Either way, whether or not he lives or not, I could totally see it being very controversial, just for the fact that he is that stereotypical pervy comic relief character, and if he survives, I could see a lot of people getting pissed off at the fact that he lived and someone else that they probably liked a lot more didn't survive. After Mineta is Spinner. Now, Spinner has been shown to have received a quirk by All For One, changing his physical appearance to where he is now this sort of Hulk version of himself, being all big and slobbering everywhere, and depending on how things go, I could see All For One having placed this sort of trap on the quirk given to Spinner, similar to what he had done to Lady Nagant, where if his loyalty to Shigaraki is tested to the point where he isn't sure about being a full-on villain anymore, that he just straight up blows up like Lady Nagant did. Spinner is a character that is very unsure of himself, so I could definitely see his loyalty being shaken up a bit by whatever heteromorphic related combo that him and Shoji might have. Or I could see that after a while of fighting, the strain of this added quirk takes its toll on his body and he literally becomes brain dead from it, which would be a cool callback to the time that All Might talked to Deku about the quirks that All For One gave to those in the past and how many would end up becoming mere puppets unable to speak due to the quirks being too much for them to bear. So far, Spinner with all of that drool is kind of making me feel like this will happen, since when All Might had that talk with Deku, we saw a panel where someone had drool coming out the side of their mouth after having received a quirk from All For One. This would honestly be very shocking if this ends up happening, but it would also be very cool to see obviously something that was set up way before in the beginning of the series coming back and sort of biting a character in the ass. Now, before I get into the final shock value death, I'm gonna do a quick lightning round of characters because I don't have a lot to say about them, but I do think that they could potentially die. So continuing the list, we have Burnin. I mean, just look at her already. Shirakumo, aka Kurogiri, just end my boy's suffering. He's been through a lot throughout this series. Sun Eater, because I can picture just how sad Mirio and Nejiri would be, and Mount Lady, just because. And for the final shock value death on this list is Shoto Todoroki. As much as I hate to say it, I can totally see Shoto getting murked in this war. Shoto has been through a lot in My Hero Academia, and being a part of the Origins crew, we have grown to love this character so much. It would really hit hard if the hero of the Todoroki family ends up saving Dabi and Endeavor, but not himself. I hope this doesn't happen, but out of the Origins crew, I could see Shoto getting axed just for pure shock value alone. Again, I do think a lot of us in the fandom do want the Todorokis, or at least Shoto, to have a happy ending, so I hope this doesn't happen. Now, this is my prediction list of characters who I think will die in the All Out War arc. I believe a lot of people will actually lose their lives in this war, though I am hoping that I am wrong with some of these characters' fates, but we will just have to wait and see what lies ahead for these characters in the future. Again, let me know in the comment section below your predictions on who you think will not survive this All Out War arc. I am really interested to see where people are at when it comes to the fates of these characters in this big final battle. Like always, thank you all for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to Detroit smash that like button below, as well as share this video with your friends. It greatly helps the channel out a ton. And if you are new to the channel and you like My Hero Academia content, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that notification bell to join the Todoroki Hero Academia to become my hero. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.